Or so I would really recommend blasting it out like an hour ahead of time to everybody too. Like a virgin copy or something.
Yeah, I mean, I sent it out yesterday.
Well, I looked all over. I remember seeing it as in a thread somewhere, but I don't know. I hate Genius.
I saw mine in the spam folder.
Yeah, well, everything goes everywhere anymore. So.
Mm-hmm.
Then I marked it not spam, and the latest one came through in the regular inbox.
Well, right now my inbox has 8,923 messages. I guess I better start pruning it.
Ah, maybe you're in mail jail, Dennis.
Yeah. Wow.
And how many of those 8,000 emails have 10 meg attachments?
Yeah, I just sent out the link to everybody. So.
And I just got it.
There's Herb. I better dress for since he's dressed.
And I think we have a dress code here.
Yeah.
What's going on? This is very unbecoming of our group.
That's just a fake. That's just a photo. The real me is wearing a ratty t-shirt.
All right. Yeah, we've got standards to keep up here. I've
got friends in low places, right?
Hey, Dave, welcome. Look like one of those informants on the shows where they have them in the shadow.
Right. They're giving him the third degree with the light there.
Well, I guess we should all turn our radio.
Ned, don't you have a camera, Ned? Because you staring at me is starting to get to me.
So Herb, for the meeting, I'm thinking maybe next Thursday might be the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably better than trying to rush or squeeze it in. But is anybody else able to join us on that? That's worked the QSO party or that has experience logging, doing contest logging with a Windows machine?
Than field day. I mean, I would think it's similar to that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but on field day we logged with paper and pencil, and we didn't need to generate a Cabrillo log, right?
Well, this year we did, but normally we have computers to do the Cabrillo logs.
In 3 FJP software, and that's the only one I've ever used. Well, that and a little bit of like the WSJT logging for FT8 contacts. But that you don't have to do anything. That's just automatic.
Right. I mean, I think there's something out there called like N1MM or something that people use. I just don't know that much about what's available on Windows. And even what I use on the Mac for my primary logging software, which is MacLogger DX, doesn't generate a Cabrillo log directly. And the utility that you're supposed to use is now unsupported and is a pain in the neck. So I think the freeware rumlog, whatever it's called, is really the best thing for Mac because it has all the contest bells and whistles and it exports right to Cabrillo and it's free. But that's the Mac side. I don't know anything about the Windows side.
Guess we'll have to do some research. And you're talking about a meeting maybe on Thursday?
Not this Thursday, next Thursday.
Okay.
That probably makes the most sense because next Tuesday is the Marple Newtown meeting, right? Wednesday the net. So either we have to go before or after and kind of rush it in. So I think Thursday is probably the best night just to go over some of the specifics. So Herb, you can talk about the contest.
Yeah, well, I'll say the same thing that I said on the net, which is that all the MARC members are invited to participate in the 65th annual Pennsylvania QSO party. The contest is going to run from noon to midnight Eastern time on the Saturday, October 9th, and then there is a overnight break with no operating, and the contest picks up again from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time on the Sunday, which is October 10th. And in the QSO party, for those who haven't done it before, operators try to make contact with as many Pennsylvania stations and as many different counties as possible. It's a fun way to make lots of QSOs in a short time and to learn about the 67 counties of Pennsylvania and maybe get your Worked All Counties award for Pennsylvania. This year, MARC will be competing in the club competition category. So instead of getting together as a group and using the club call sign, we'll be participating as individual operators from our own homes, using our own call signs, and then we can have our individual contest logs consolidated with other MARC members so that we generate a combined score for the club as a whole. So we're going to encourage every MARC member who participates in the QSO party, even if they make only a handful of contacts, to submit their log on the Pennsylvania QSO party website. And the important thing here is there's a field in when you're uploading the log, there's a field that asks you if you're part of a club, and you just have to spell out the full club name, Mid-Atlantic Amateur Radio Club, on the entry form so that the individual score becomes part of MARC's score total. You do not need a fancy superstation to participate in the QSO party. I certainly do not have a fancy superstation. I run 100 watts with an indoor antenna on 40 meters and 20 meters and a very, very compromised makeshift antenna for 80 meters. So you certainly do not need a fancy station. There are separate categories for high power, low power, and QRP operators. You can operate VHF, UHF, on any of the HF bands, anything except the WARC bands. You can operate at home, mobile, portable, or even as a rover going from county to county. Allowable modes are CW and voice. Sorry, no FT8. You can operate for the whole contest, which is a total of 19 hours, or you can just spend 30 minutes having a little bit of fun and making a few QSOs, whatever works best for you. But we certainly would love all the members to join in the fun and have their logs added to the club's total. So as Jeremy and I were just talking about, we will be hosting a video conference shortly before the contest, and I think that's going to be next Thursday. So what day of the month does that work out to be? October something.
7th, I think.
7th.
Yeah, 7th, right. And we'll be giving new participants a tutorial about the rules of the QSO party, strategies for the contest, useful resources, logging software, log submission, and we will record the meeting and post it on YouTube for those who are unable to attend or who want to refer to it later. Jeremy, N2ZLQ, will talk more about that meeting later, and we will at some point put instructions on how to mark your log submissions so that MARC gets credit for them. We'll post those on the MARC website. Details for operator categories, bands, modes, and rules, as well as printable lists of all 67 Pennsylvania counties and their abbreviations, as well as the abbreviations for other ARRL sections, can be found at the contest website, which is paqso.org. That's Papa Alpha Queen Sierra Oscar.org. The contest is a whole lot of fun. We look forward to hearing as many MARC members as we can on the air during the contest weekend. There's no requirement to sign up in advance, but certainly we'll be taking sort of an informal survey on the upcoming nets just to get a rough idea of how many club members will be participating. And you can also, if you wish, it's also not a requirement, but you can submit your operating plan on the PAQSOparty.org website, and you can get an idea of who's activating which counties. And there's about a dozen counties so far that they don't have activated yet, and they use that data to figure out where to send rovers.
All right.
Question.
Sure.
You said there were discontiguous hours of the contest on Saturday and Sunday. Could you tell me those again, please?
Sure. It starts at noon Eastern time on Saturday and runs till midnight. So it's 12 hours straight. But then they take pity on us, those of us who need our beauty sleep, need all the help we can get with our beauty. And they let us go to sleep. And they don't resume operations until 9 a.m. Sunday morning, and then you can run straight from 9 till 6 p.m., and the contest is over at 6 o'clock.
And those are all Eastern time.
Those are all Eastern times. They give the times in UTC, but I figured we'd give them in Eastern time.
All right. Should we get the meeting officially started? All right. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the MARC September 2021 meeting. I'm Jeremy Carlo, N2ZLQ, the club president. So as we normally do, we'll go around with a round of introductions. So let's see, we'll start with calls ending in alpha through echo. You can check in now.
I'll answer as quickly as I can. I'm always learning more. By the way, in Amazon.
Nobody. All right. Foxtrot through November.
This is Brian, Alpha 3, Bravo Kilo.
This is Lou, WX3I.
Who else? And anybody else?
Jerome, November, Whiskey 3, Tango.
And this is David, W5QS.
Andrew, Kilo Alpha 2, Delta Delta Oscar.
Herb, K3YR.
Dennis, K3DS.
And anybody else?
Bob, N3, JIZ.
All right. I saw Ned, maybe he's indisposed at the moment. So my first announcement for this evening is a good one. Ned will be joining us on the board. So as many of you know, when Doug Wilkins, NE3U, passed away earlier this year, he left a vacancy on the board. He'd been serving as our member at large for quite a while. So I'm happy to announce that Ned, WQ3Z, has agreed to step up and fill that position. So let's have a round of applause for Ned. Welcome to the board. We always appreciate anyone who can help out in any way. So Ned was previously on the board back in the 1990s, so we're glad to have him back. He's been a longtime member, frequent participant in public service events, frequent participant at meetings, and as well as the Ham Fest and Field Day and all of our other activities. Second announcement, and I don't know if maybe Dennis was going to say something about this later, but we do have a new net, which is now active on the MARC repeater system. And that's Tuesday evenings at 7 o'clock. So actually going on right now. And that's the 5-county digital training net, which is for all of the counties in the surrounding area of Philadelphia. They try out different digital modes. So if you're looking to experiment with that, you can check into that net, which is Tuesdays at 7. And they'll be using our repeater, at least for trying that out. All right. Treasurer's report, Lou.
Okay, well, first we now have 89 members on the books. So added a few more in the last roster that I sent out. So welcome to everybody. Some new members, it looks like. So that's good. We're getting new members. In the bank, we currently have $19,248.62. We do have 2 outstanding checks that are in the mail. which means it might get there by 2022, but with the way the mail works nowadays. But $1,300 for a new repeater, and $158.89 for Zoom, renewing the Zoom meetings. So that brings us to $17,789.73.
All right. Thanks, Lou. Jim, did you have anything to say on membership or secretary?
Well, nothing to report on secretary, but we are inching up. I'd like to see 100 before the end of the year, but
Yeah.
we have a few to go, but it's possible. We've got a lot of new hams out there. I'm get a few of them to have dual membership in our club.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Mhm.
All right. Dennis, technical services. Now you're muted.
Technical problem.
So the tech services committee has a tech problem?
Yep.
Yeah, Dennis, you're muted.
Got to get the damn taskbar up and
There.
There he is.
Okay, well, I'm also on 06 listening to these fellows do their MCOM thing. They're doing WinLink Express. I got my WinLink Express up in another window here. And this is a new activity that if anybody's interested, we can certainly get you imbued on that. People seem to be signing in from the 5-county area, no less, all using 06 at the moment. The repeater that Lou mentioned is a Bridgecom. You can all go to Bridgecom repeaters, Google that, and it's a 2-meter repeater. Relatively inexpensive, and unfortunately the Kenwood TK750, which we have been running on 06 and 13, is no longer being made. And the new one has special functions and group calls and all kinds of other stuff. So interfacing is not for the card. So we're going to give Bridgecom a try. It's supposed to be a 50-watt key down repeater, so that'll be good. We were running a 100-watt amplifier at about 80 watts when the EF Johnson blew up, so we'll be running about 50 watts or so, slightly reduced power. But right now we're only running about 20 watts or so, maybe about 8 to 10 watts to the antenna. So it's on order, 2-3 weeks it'll be here, but installation at Darby will be contingent on the fact that I need it here for testing. And let's see if the stupid camera is going to work. Yeah, there. Oops. Go up, down, left, right. There's the setup for the DR1X and the interface and all kinds of other stuff. So life is continuing here when I get a chance to work on that. So back to the meeting from K3DS.
All right. Thanks, Dennis. This is great. So we're going to have an upgraded repeater on Paoli UHF and a new machine on Darby that's 147.36. And the existing machine that's now running 147.36 in Darby will, at the same time that the new repeater is installed, that will be moved up to 444.05. So we'll actually have 2 repeaters operating at Darby at that point. All right. Next up, and I think maybe this, Bob, I'll ask you, did you want to talk about public service now, or do you want to wait until your presentation?
I can talk about our upcoming events now if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess since our last meeting, we've actually had 2 scheduled public service events. First one was canceled due to the to high water on the Schuylkill. That was the Charles Bender Memorial Swim, and I guess that the too much water is not good, so that got canceled. Our first then actual public service event of the fall season was the French Creek Triathlon on behalf of the French Creek Racing Group, and that was held on Saturday, September 18th, and turned out to be a really nice day, and it turned out to be a pretty fun event, I think. It was a little bit disorganized because I was not able to get the correct maps and correct information on where they were going to be assembling in the park and so forth, but we managed to find where they were and got everything all straightened out in time for what we needed to be there for. We pretty much handled the bike race, and that was a different route than it was in 2019. They changed the route a little bit. But anyway, it all worked out pretty well. And I think everybody did a great job with it, and of course, and I think everybody had some fun. And I just like to acknowledge the following 4 people who helped out with it. They were Jim, W3JNF, David, W5QS, Brian, AA3BK, and Herb, K3YR. So if you can give those guys a big round of applause. So, and our next public service event is going to be the Soul Harvest 5K, which benefits the Norristown Hospitality Center. And that's going to be on Saturday, October the 9th at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll be meeting at the Norristown Area Administration Building, which is directly across the street from the Norristown Farm Park, from an entrance to the Norristown Farm Park. And it's always a fun event. It's a 5K, so it's nice and short. And so it's a great event. And I guess looks like you'll also be able to get back home. You'll be home by lunchtime, so looks like it won't interfere with the PA QSO party if we're all going to be working from our home stations. And then the next event is the 5-mile Radnor Run, which benefits the American Lung Association. We meet at, that's going to take place on Saturday or Sunday, October 31st. And we meet at the Radnor Township Building, 301 Ivan Avenue in Wayne. And it's a little more challenging event than a 5K. The terrain is a little bit more hilly and therefore a little bit more challenging from an RF standpoint. And we will try to get the simplex repeater to work on this event. Don't know if we'll succeed with it, but we'd like to try it and see how it goes. So that one we're going to meet, I believe at 6 a.m. and but it also we should be finished by 10:30 or 11. So once again, you'll be home by lunchtime. And the last event is the Vietnam Veterans 5K run inside the Norristown Farm Park. That's Saturday, November 6th. And we'll meet at the picnic pavilion parking lot. And it's a fun event. It's a 5K. It's nice and short. Get there at 8 o'clock in the morning and you'll be home by lunch. So that's the public service lineup for the rest of the season, rest of the fall.
Great. Thanks, Bob, for that. Okay, just a couple more items.
I have a question for Bob.
Oh, yeah.
The event on the 9th of October.
Yes.
The where we have to be at Norristown Farm Park. What time do you want us there?
8 o'clock, 8 a.m.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll meet at the and that one we're going to meet at the Norristown Area High School Administration Building. It's Whitehall Road, I believe, and Eagle Stream Boulevard, something like that.
Eagle Drive.
Eagle Drive. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Eagle Stream's in somewhere else.
Yeah, that's in Lower Providence, not West Norton. So
yeah.
All right, thanks. So as many of you have heard, we were planning on having a club station for the PA QSO party, which is the weekend of October 9th and 10th. Unfortunately, we were unable to secure a site for that because we had a number of different constraints. We need to put up antennas, use generators, hopefully have a restroom that we can use, and also have access after dusk. So those proved to be pretty challenging constraints, especially that we also wanted to operate in Delaware County. So we were unable to do that. But I was in some discussions with Herb, K3YR, and he realized that we'll still be able to participate, but in a different way. You can operate in the comfort of your own home, send in your own logs for the PA QSO party, and also have them counted toward the club score. So Herb, did you want to talk a little bit about the contest?
Oh, I thought I already did, but was that not recorded and live streamed?
It was, but if you wanted to make any more points.
Well, I mean, just to summarize, so basically we operate from our own homes. We do our logging, and we generate one way or another a Cabrillo format log, and then that gets uploaded up to the PAQSO.org website, which is the party organizer's website. And on their upload form, they have a blank space there which says club. So they ask you your name, your call sign, your address, all that kind of stuff. And they also ask you for your club. So all you have to do is fill in Mid-Atlantic Amateur Radio Club right there in that club field. And then your log will get consolidated with everybody else who's operating from the club side. And we will then be in the club competition. Last year, in 2020, and there, sorry, let me back up. There are two categories for club competition. There is the under 25 logs submitted, and then there are the over 25 logs submitted. So last year in 2020, in the over 25 log category, there was one entry and one winner. It was Frankfurt, which had 57 logs submitted and, a gazillion points. I don't know how many total points. But in the lower number of category, which is the 3 to 25, there were about 14 entrants. The winning club there had 11 logs in, but pretty much everybody else was between 3 and 5 logs. So I think if a bunch of us operate, we'll be right in there. And we don't have to win, but we want to have fun, and we want to see our club's name there on the leaderboard when this year's results get published. And even if we're in 14th out of 14 places, so what? At least we're there on the board, and all of us had fun.
So if someone has never participated in a contest before, what's it like to be in the PAQSO party?
So the PAQSO party, basically, most of the action is going to be on the low bands just because of, where we are relative to the other counties. So you're going to see a lot of action on 40 meters and 80 meters. I'm not set up to operate 160, but I'm told that in the later part of the evening, there's some activity on 160 as well. And basically, it's a very simple thing. You're going to either sit on a frequency and run a frequency and call CQ, or you're going to be hunting and searching, tuning the bands, looking for others calling CQ, and you're going to do a simple exchange. You're going to give your county. So, for example, I'm Delaware County. That's DCO, Delta Charlie Oscar. Or you're going to say Montgomery County or Philadelphia County or Chester County, whatever the case may be. And you're going to give a sequence number. So you're going to just keep track of your QSOs in sequential order. The first one, the second one, the third one. So you're going to give an exchange, which is county, abbreviation, and sequence number. And you need to get from the other guy their county abbreviation and their sequence number. You need to record that. You can do it with a paper and pencil. No problem if you want to log that way and then enter it into a spreadsheet later. But the good thing about using a computer for your logging is that it will advance the sequence number, at least on your side, automatically. So it will keep track of that. And also, it will keep track of duplicates. It will look if you've already contacted somebody on a particular band, you can't get credit for that. So the logging software will warn you about that.
Now, we are planning to have an orientation session. We'll do that on Zoom. So we're thinking about doing that next Thursday. So that'll be 2 days before the contest. What time do you think would be good for that? We do same time as the meetings, maybe 7:15. Would that work?
That would work for me if you want. I mean, I'm basically available anytime during the evening. I mean, not too super late, but 7, 8, anytime in that time frame works for me. The Friday, just FYI, there is a sort of an informal net on 80 meters from the QSO party organizers, where they will also be taking questions and talking about plans. And by the time we get together next Thursday in our Zoom meeting, I will have the frequency and timing for that, and I'll mention it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I think we'll plan on next Thursday. I think that's October 7th. So maybe 7:15 p.m. We'll make it the same as the meetings. And that'll be on Zoom, same link as this is right now. We'll also live stream on YouTube. So anyone who's interested in participating in the QSO party can come there. And especially if it's your first contest, you can learn about how this is done. And it seems like it's a pretty friendly contest. I've actually never done it before, but it seems like a pretty simple contest, a pretty friendly one. So might be a good place to get started. All right. Does anyone have anything about the QSO party?
Has anybody who's present in this meeting done it before? I know, Dennis, you've mentioned you've done it in prior years. Has anybody else in the group done it?
Not I.
Okay. I mean, certainly if anybody has done it and would like to participate in sort of our tutorial meeting and sort of lend your insights, that would be really excellent.
Yes, if anyone would like to, just shoot me an email, n2zlq@marc-radio.org, and we'll get you in there. All right. So one final business item for tonight. I just wanted to talk a little bit about upcoming programs. So for the October meeting, we have a really nice program. I'm excited about this. It's going to be about operating in antenna-restricted situations. So if you're in an apartment, if you're in a senior living community, if you're in an HOA, so you have antenna restrictions, I think that's going to be a fun presentation. We're still looking for some more people who can talk about it, because I think this is the sort of presentation that only works if we have a couple of people to share their insights. So even something that you think is obvious may not be obvious to others. So if you'd be interested in participating in that, send me an email, n2zlq@marc-radio.org. Hopefully we'll get a couple of presenters together, and I think that will be a really nice meeting, have some good ideas to share. I know Herb has some ideas that he'd like to share, but we'd like to get a couple other folks in there as well. And for the November meeting, we have Carl Letzelschwab. I think I got that right. It's K9LA. He'll be joining us by the magic of Zoom from Indiana. So he's a division director out in the Midwest, and he's a guru of solar propagation. So if you want to learn about solar indices and sunspot numbers and all that stuff and how it correlates with HF propagation, he's kind of the expert on this. He gives talks all around the country on this topic. So we're really glad to have him while we're doing these remote meetings. And then finally in December, we're scheduled for the holiday party. Dennis, did you want to say a word about the holiday party?
Yeah, I will also make sure that the webmaster knows about these upcoming meetings, because I think the webmaster was on the website today trying to update stuff, and he could have got that done too. So shoot me an email on that.
I thought I copied you on that, but maybe it didn't.
Well, I don't know what's going on. We had that problem or whatever.
Yeah.
I had a little I wasn't listed on the board right, or something like that. I'm not sure, but okay, holiday party. We're going to have a holiday party. We'll try to make sure everybody stays safe and things like that. We'll have to see what December looks like. It's traditionally the second Saturday of December, which I believe is the 12th or some number like that. It is on the website, or it'll be at the traditional location, Uno's Restaurant in Newtown Square. Good time will be had by all, starting at midday. The club, as its requisite idea, has supplemented your repast. It'll only cost you about $10, but usually it turns out to be about double that. But the club will certainly pick up the difference at a tab in the holiday spirit. Certainly would like to get head count. I'll try to send out some emails ahead of time just to make sure that we do have enough to fill the back room so they don't get annoyed at us, but we'll see how it goes. So check the website. I believe it's the 12th. It's midday. And we'll see you at December 12th at not Pizzeria. It's called the Uno Restaurant in Newtown Square. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Dennis, for that. All right. Does anyone have anything else for club business? All right. Then we'll move on to the main presentation this evening. So we're delighted to have our very own Bob Palin, N3JIZ. So Bob has been our public service chairman for quite a few years. He's really been doing a great job keeping us active in public service. We've usually got about 5 or so events in the spring and about 5 events in the fall. So that really keeps us busy. So I thought, given that we're just slowly kind of crawling out of this COVID hole, we're still doing remote meetings, and opportunities for getting together in person are still a little bit limited. Really getting involved in public service, because the activities are outdoors. It's really a safe way to get involved in activities, for the next couple of months, while hopefully things will gradually improve. So I'm encouraging all club members to get involved in public service. And toward that end, I thought it would be a good idea to have Bob tell us about public service, give some hints in getting involved in public service, and talking about what we do. So with that, take it away, Bob.
Okay. Well, I guess the first thing we got to start with, pretty much with any public service presentation is why do we do it? And so we look to the rule book, FCC Part 97.1, and there's about five different little paragraphs there. I'll try to distill it into 3. And first of all, public service helps to recognize and enhance the amateur radio service to the public, and particularly in the area of emergency communications. At least that's what the that's the reason why we have the frequencies that we do. And it's also to help advance the skills in both communication and technical phases or parts of the art. And of course, it helps to foster international goodwill. And that seems to me that, goodwill needs to start at home as well as go internationally. So, I think, it's very important that we're ready to do public service should the need arise. And I think there's different levels of public service. There's all kinds of different things that happen that hams are involved with. There's hurricanes like Katrina and Andrew and Maria, and forest fires, and just all kinds of other disasters that occur, floods, and there's 9/11. There was a lot of hams involved with that, just to give you a little picture of how public service can go, kind of on an extreme level. I'll take the example of the response that was given to the Hurricane Maria as it struck Puerto Rico in September of 2017. It was a Category 5 hurricane, and the American Red Cross asked the ARL to get together some radio teams to send out to the island of Puerto Rico. And so they, ARL, I guess, advertised that they needed help, operators to come help with the hurricane cleanup. And they got responses from 350 different hams across the country, and they kind of whittled down these each interviewed each one, and kind of whittled down the group to what they called the Force of 50, which were basically there was 50 hams, and they were divided into groups of 2. And these ham operators were sent out to establish communication points throughout the island of Puerto Rico, and hospitals, fire stations, and other strategic locations. They brought with them VHF, UHF, and HF equipment, and they were, while they worked there for the couple weeks, I think they were there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they passed huge amounts of traffic, health and welfare, and requests for food and water and medicines and medical supplies and so forth. And they did a tremendous service to the people of Puerto Rico. And even one of the hams was asked to assemble a helipad, so I guess they could bring in supplies and medical equipment and give medevac, the medevac a better place to land. So they were asked to do other things than actually just do all radio work. And that's pretty typical, I think, of a lot of public service events. And so then now, if we bring it a little closer to home, we think of our county Aries and Races groups. They pretty much work on specific training that meets the county's requirements. They train with both analog and digital messaging, D-Star, WinLink, and other messaging formats. And most of these hams bring their own equipment, but some of the counties also may provide some additional equipment. I know that Delaware County has given the Delaware County Aries group, I believe it's 10 VHF, UHF Go kits, which includes D-Star in it. And most of the county Aries Races groups are supplied with repeaters from the county, and or at least space on their tower, a tower, and other equipment and stuff. And these hams have to participate in, or they do participate in Aries public service events, and they also are obviously tremendously encouraged to participate in the county and PEMA races training. That's the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Administration, I guess, exercises and activities, which typically occur annually. And then then you get the events like the MS 150, and pretty much all of the participants there are just can be regular hams. They don't have to have an affiliation to a county Aries Races group. but they can. I mean, it's just that they looked for over 100 hams to help with the event that just happened I guess it was over the weekend. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody got to listen to any of it, but it was a really well done net. It was on I guess it may have been on a couple repeaters, but I listened to it on the 147.120 repeater. That was in it's a New Jersey repeater in Washington Township, and they did a really great job on both Saturday and Sunday. And anyway, so where does that leave you? The average ham that maybe has not ever participated in a public service event, and say you just don't have time to go and run off and join the circus. That's not right. Just trying to see if anybody's still awake. No offense to the county Aries guys, but so what if you don't have time to go and join the county Aries group? Well, that's where MARC can really come in. If I can read my own writing here. Yeah, that's where MARC public service events fit right in. Our events are geared to the first time someone helps out with a public service event, but we have some roles in a lot of the events that hopefully will keep hams with more experienced interested in helping out. They're a little more challenging. And in fact, MARC can help out with equipment as well. We have a handy talkie and a mobile rig that we can loan out to someone who doesn't have a radio. And all of our events are pretty short. They're 3 to 6 hours in length, and most of them get you home in time for lunch. Pretty much we don't have any all day or multi-day deployments. Pretty much the MS 150, that was pretty much an all day thing. And if you went for both days, then it was a 2-day event.
Hey, Bob, do you want me to say more about the MS 150, or did you?
Sure. If you got some information on it, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. As Bob was starting to say, the MS 150 is a 2-day event. They basically will take assistance from people who can't do 2 days or whatever. But I think this year, I don't remember the exact number. I think they had close to 150 hams involved. They have 2 nets running, one for the SAG vehicles, the vehicles that are running around picking up people, and then they have another net which is for people who are positioned along the route. Those 2 nets run with a net control. With each there are 2 net controls down in Ocean City at the Music Pier, and then we also have backup net control location in Woodcrest Station near Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So, if there's a problem down south, then we can switch up to the north end and do that. If you do participate for the 2 days, you do get a complimentary room, and it involves food too. So it's all good things. I did it. Last number of years I've been down at the Music Pier for both days. Andrew KA2DDO was also there. I saw him. I don't think anybody else here on the Zoom session was there, but the 2 of us represented MARC. So the biggest issue is if you're not an early morning kind of person, you may not want to do something at the beginning of the event, because the event starts like at 6 a.m. So, you have to get to your spot and be ready by 5:30 at the latest. But if you end up, it's a 75-mile event on Saturday, 75-mile event on Sunday. So if you wanted to get there later, you could get a location on the opposite end, so you could start later. So a lot of flexibility with it, and I've been doing it for decades. And they keep asking me to come back. So anyway,
Didn't that conflict with the French Creek event?
No, it was the weekend after the French Creek event.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
thanks for letting me interrupt there, Bob.
sure, thank you. Yeah, it's a really great event. So I wished I could have been there, but I had.
The other thing is, the other thing I forgot to add is that this year, well, they had over 3,500 bike riders register, but they think they probably had closer to 3,000 actually participate, and that was down this year for, maybe that should have been expected, but because normally they cut it off at 7,000, and they've had more than 7,000 people try and sign up in previous years. So,
wow.
Big event. That's why it takes so long to get people from the north end to the south end, and then back on the second day.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
So anyway, the MARC events are easy, and they have a minimum of extra ham activities. Pretty much, the most difficult extra activities we do are there's a couple of locations on the route that for like the Radnor Parade that you would have to bring 2 road cones and some signs. And occasionally on a foot race, some of the foot races, we get asked to marshal a corner. And so that means you have to go this way. Can everybody do that? Just go this way. Yeah, I guess you can't really see with my smartphone here, but anyway, it's very easy. And to date, we have yet to build a helicopter landing pad. So it's really very easy. And our events are kind of a lot of fun. When you get out there, you're kind of representing ham radio. You're putting a face to it, your own smiling face, and I think you should take pride in the fact that you are a ham, and you've got special skills that most people don't. And so I think a lot of people think of ham radio. People who know of ham radio, think of an old guy with gray hair, just sitting in front of several huge big boat anchor radios, and eating donuts and smoking cigars or something. But the truth is, some of us eat donuts, and some of us have gray hair, and we might even own a boat anchor or two. But we know that that's a very narrow idea, and it's not true of anything that ham radio is, and we're all proof of that. And yet there's still some other ones, especially the younger people. They have no clue what ham radio is, and they have no basis for it at all. And if you being out there, you can tell them, what you're doing, and answer, questions about, what is ham radio, or what it's all about. And so, that's a good thing. And I think after we do an event, I think we all have a nice sense of accomplishment. get to see an event, all the way through, and that, nobody, there's no problems, or if they are, then we're there to summon, some kind of help. And so, we kind of watch over people as they're doing their thing and so forth. And so it's a good sense of accomplishment at the end. And I think also public service is appreciated by all the organizations that we work for. Pretty much all organizations these days are short on volunteers. I don't know if you know this or not, but most volunteer fire companies are always looking for some more people to sign up, and it's true with these organizations that raise money for a charity or whatever it is. For some reason, volunteers are always in short supply, these days. So in summary, pretty much all of our public service events are short, easy, and fun, and they give you a sense of accomplishment. And so what about equipment? Basically, we always say kind of come as you are. We can, the club has equipment they can lend you. Other hams possibly might be able to lend you some equipment. And I don't know, Jeremy, how many people do we have on the meeting right now?
We've got 11 here. Let me check over on YouTube. Not sure if we got anybody following over there.
Okay, so I was going to take a quick survey. How many hams present have a handy talkie? Raise your hand. You can see all of.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, but Jeremy, you can see all the people on the meeting at once.
Yeah, I can see. Other than the folks who don't have their cameras on.
Okay.
There you go. I turned mine off because you asked me to.
So how many for HT do we have?
Pretty much everybody, at least everybody that has their camera on.
When you say walkie-talkie, it just means handheld, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have a handheld.
Okay, how about a mobile rig? How many people own a 2 meter or 2 meter 440 mobile rig?
Looks like most everybody.
Most everybody? Okay, how many people have a mobile rig? This is a little more difficult. How many people have a mobile rig or permanently or temporarily mounted in your vehicle?
Looks like most.
Most? Okay, well, that's great. So anyway, that's a good thing. And so pretty much I've come up with a short list of equipment that you would want to have if you were going to have if you were going to go to a public service event, and you wanted to get your go kit together, or get your equipment together, whatever you want to call it. We've got a short list here. I think on my last presentation, I made a list of like 25 or 50 items, but I figure that's a little bit much for the Zoom meeting. So we'll just go for like the top 10 here. And the first one, I kind of put these in order of importance, at least in my way of thinking. The first one is a power tap off your car's battery or fuse block, because this enables you to run a mobile rig. And of course, the next item would be a 50-watt 2 meter or dual band mobile rig. And the next item in importance is a 1/2 or 5/8 wave antenna that works with your with whatever rig you've got. And then a 2-meter or a dual band handy talkie would be the number 4. And number 5 would be an improved antenna for your handy talkie. A lot of rubber ducks are, pretty crappy antennas. And so if you, I know Diamond makes some nice antennas that are a little bit longer, but they also may help you receive or transmit a little bit better. Next item would be a rain suit or other kind of rain gear, either an umbrella or a poncho or something to allow you to work out in the rain, because pretty much all of our events are rain or shine events. So you always want to make sure you bring a rain suit. Then number 7 comes in as a rain suit for your handy talkie. Pretty much like you need a rain suit for yourself. You want to make sure your handy talkie doesn't get soaked. Most of the modern handy talkies can take, some light rain, but if it's really coming down, you're going to want to make sure that it's secured from the water. And to do that, I recommend cheaping out on it with a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, or if it's your handy talkie is small enough and you're using a standard rubber duck, sometimes a 1-gallon Ziploc bag works good. The next one is a clipboard, and I know the club supplies clipboards, but do you think the hams that went off to help out in Puerto Rico and with Hurricane Maria, you think they brought a clipboard? I'll bet they did. So you want to bring a clipboard, and you want to bring some pens and pencils. And number 10 comes in as a binocular, a pair of binoculars. Kind of a little thought of item maybe, but a lot of times it can help you cover a lot of ground and give you the ability to see like bib tag numbers or numbers that are on bicycles or whatever that you normally wouldn't be able to see because they're the people are either too far away by the time you get to checking for bib tag numbers or something, or it's just a definite advantage. So anyway, if each member could just help out with one, each MARC club member could help out with just one public service event, it would make a huge difference. We have what was it, 89 members, and typically each of our events typically goes best if we have like at least 15 people to help out with it. Typically our numbers have been a lot less than that, and I think if we could just get double the number of people to come out to the events, we'd have a lot things would go a lot smoother and a lot better. We could cover more area, in depth, and we'd give a greater service to the people we're trying to help. So I guess this next thing is, does anybody have any public service experiences that they would like to share or anything?
Yeah, I would. Just a couple of things. Actually, I have used the plastic bag. Works really well. You can easily get to the push to talk button through the plastic bag, and you can read the dial. So it's a very practical solution to what could be a real problem if it's raining. Second thing is your point about educating the public is real. At almost every event that I've supported, and I've supported them since I joined the club, whenever I can, I've always had someone come up to me and ask, what are you doing? What kind of radio is that? Is that one of these walkie-talkies from Kmart? And then I explained to them, no, that it's a ham radio, and I explained what ham radio is and does. And they usually at least act impressed, whether they're just being polite or not. I probably can't judge. And then the other thing is we go to these events, and it's not just to be there. We actually do some good work. I mean, on these runs, people get hurt. They pull a muscle. They think it's cool to use brand new sneakers, and everybody knows on a long race you don't want sneakers that are brand new. You want ones that are well broken in. But you still get people who do that, and they get hurt, and they got to drop out of the race. And we're there to assist them to get back safely. And in some cases, that involves children. And you want to make sure, especially because, our communications are open. You don't need to be a ham to monitor ham radio, okay? So we have to be very careful, especially if there are children involved, to make sure that they're, safely taken care of if for some reason they have to drop out of the race. So we do provide a real service to these events, and it does involve public safety. So you need to take this support of these events very responsibly, because you do have a responsibility. It's not going to happen every time, but when it does happen, you want to be there and do the right thing, because people depend on you. And the last thing I wanted to say was, most of us have badges for the club, and if you don't have a badge for the club, I think we can look on the website. It tells you how to order one online. But I do recommend that you wear the badge at the event. Make it visible. Put it on the front of your blazer. And it's a way of advertising the club and letting people know that we have training and we have experience, and we're there to help. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. That's great. They're all great, great things.
Yeah. Maybe I could show some of the equipment that I use. So this is one of my HTs. It's the Yaesu VX7. And this is the antenna that I use. This is the Diamond, I'll hold it up there. Diamond SRH77CA. So that's kind of the godfather of the full antennas. Size does matter in these, so it's a bigger antenna, but it does get the signal out. Other things is spare battery. You always want to have. And in fact, I usually even carry a backup radio. This is the famous UV5R, so it's something. It works. These work, reasonably well. Sometimes we're in high noise areas where these have a little bit more of a problem. So usually I'll use the Yaesu as my primary, but I will have a backup just in case, because anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Yeah, so I've always had a lot of fun doing public service events. It's a great way to improve your operating skill. So, getting involved in nets is a good thing to do because, you're getting into more of a flow of conversation back and forth. Basically, speaking when it's your turn to speak and learning, just learning how other people speak and identify themselves and learning some radio lingo. But doing public service is a nice way to improve your operating skill as well, and also feel like you're doing something useful, right? So you're providing service, as Brian said, to an event. You're passing along information that's useful about which runners have finished the race, if anyone got injured, and you're just there as kind of a backup to help out if anything goes wrong. So I found that it's a really nice thing to do. Back when I lived in New York, I worked the New York City Marathon a number of times, and that's a really big event. So that's basically, it's kind of a public service event for every mile marker. on there. And then there's a number of different nets all around the city. There's, I think, 2 or 3 logistics nets. Then there's a medical net. There's a dropout net, and there's a few others. So they're using about half a dozen or more repeaters throughout the city. That's an interesting event. You see a lot of people who run in costume, a lot of crazy stuff like that. I don't know how these people do it. I can't run not in costume, but these people put on these big get-ups and they run 26 miles. So it's always interesting for people watching.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, another item, let me grab mine here. Reflective vests. I don't remember if you mentioned those, but the club does have some of these vests. These are good if you're going to be out in the street, if you're going to be dealing with any traffic or anything like that. This isn't the standard club vest. This is from one of my old clubs, but this definitely does increase your visibility, especially if it's rainy or if the sun is really bright. So basically any weather, these vests can really be a great thing. Also, they usually have a lot of pockets, so that's good for carrying extra equipment around. And I usually also bring a little snack bag with some goodies, because when you're standing there for 2 or 3 hours, the builds up real quick. Of course, there's the donuts at the beginning, which is a time-honored tradition. But if the donuts don't get you through till that 11 a.m., I usually have a little bit extra.
Well, that sugar wears off after a while,
Yeah, you get the spike and then it drops off. Yeah, if you have like some nuts or trail mix or something like that, that's always good, because that'll keep you going for a while.
One piece of equipment that I also like to bring is a headset for noisy areas. Like at the parade, the Radnor Parade it's so noisy. A nice headset works really well. So that's what I like to bring along also. The other thing that I enjoy about the public services, I always get several people that thank me for being there. And that is just, it's just something wonderful. So they do appreciate us being there. So.
That's good. Oh, these are all great. Yeah, I did forget to mention about the vests. The MARC Club has a policy that if you're a new club member, you have to be a club member. But if you come out to your first public service event, you will get issued a free vest and a free Class 2 reflective vest and a free ARL, Aries, Aries hat. And that it's about a $30 value. So if your dues are $20, you're getting a $30 hat and vest for free, basically. Well, you are getting it for free, but it only costs you $20 instead of $30. So that's another little perk. And we usually do also have coffee and donuts at the beginning when we're figuring out where we're going to go. So getting ready. So does anybody else have a interesting public service story or anything that they can contribute about equipment or anything, or
Net control WQ3Z.
Yeah, go ahead, Ned.
First off, am I making the machine?
Yep, you're loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. First off, to Jeremy, my apologies for not jumping in when you did the introductions, but as I said, I was caring for my grandson while my son was doing other things. As far as the public service, to add on to everything that's been said, having done this for way too many years, remember, this is excellent experience or when the big one hit. And, you know, one of the justifications for having the amateur radio service is to have trained, equipped operators able to provide communications in the event of emergency. We're actually making our contribution to preparation for justifying the service. Second off, having done all sorts of events and whatnot around the country, I can tell right off when it's just a bunch of hams that have gotten together and haven't worked together before, and when it's it's a team that has prior experience. Because, you know, for instance, for the Radnor Parade and for other events like that, we just know what we're going to do. I know I can count on Bob. I know, you know, I can count on Jeremy, and having that level of experience and confidence, you know, is reflected in the level of preparation and the level of performance. So, couple of thoughts. As I say, it's good experience, and it's you know, contributed to our neighbor. That said, I'll turn it back to net control. WQ presents.
Okay, thank you, Ned. That was good. So anyway, yeah, I'll share a public service event story. I guess that it was well, I don't know. I don't even remember how many years ago it was, but it was kind of a one and done event for the MARC Club. And it was the American Diabetes Association was having a bike ride, you know, and it was headquartered right at Trooper Road and 422. It's like down there's a big parking lot that you can see from 422, and they somehow rented that area, and they actually had me attend a meeting like prior to the event, and I went to the meeting and you know learned a few things, but it's like they didn't quite tell me everything that we needed to know. And so when we got there that morning, it was just they were under the impression that we were there to drive the vans, the SAG vans. So we kind of all had to, you know, scramble for mag mounts and you know, get our rigs, you know, put into the vans, and then we, you know, everybody took the vans out onto the course, and you know, I guess a few people, you know, were out on the course but didn't have the van; they were just off by themselves, and with their regular mobile rigs and stuff, mobiles and stuff, but. You know, we had to do the SAG duties. There was probably like 3 or 4 SAG vans that we had to drive, and it was just kind of a little bit uncoordinated, as I guess you might say. But it in the end, it all worked out okay. But it was definitely a long event for us that day. I think the event. It finished up around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and but like I say, it was a one and done event because they moved the actual location of the event somewhere up north, up to like New Hope or somewhere up that direction, and so that kind of knocked us out for helping out with it, because it's a little bit far of a commute for us, but. It was just very interesting. You know, I was kind of new to public service, and you know, had a few events, you know, under my belt, but not all that many. And so that was just kind of a fun, you know, fun switcheroo kind of thing. They just kind of dumped a whole lot of more stuff on us than we thought we were getting into, but it all worked out, and they seemed to be okay with it, and so but that was probably my oddest event, I guess. Yes, you'd say. So, anybody else have anything?
Hey,
Sorry.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we had talked earlier before this last event that this was my first Pennsylvania event. And up until this time, I'd worked out of San Antonio. And from 2001 until 2017, you know, I had worked the San Antonio Marathon, the Diabetes Tour de Cure, the MS 150 when it went to Corpus Christi, and then again when it went to Houston. Just trying to go through the list because I worked as SAG operator. I worked at rest stops for about 8 years in a row. Before I retired, I was a medic on the field itself for all those events. And then I finally went to the rest stops and just started working rest stops. And I think a couple years for the marathons, I did. We used to assign a ham operator to the administrative folks that are on the field, like the race directors, the judges, and people like that, so that if they needed something or we needed something at one of the rest stops, we would transmit that back to one of the shadows through net control. And then the hurricanes, you know, 2001 up until 2017, whatever hurricane came up the Gulf or hit New Orleans or Houston, you know, I spent my time there. 2 years in a row when hurricanes came through, starting with Katrina, I was with what's called the RMOC, the medical folks, the radio operator medical people. And my jobs at that time was, since we were at the old Kelly Air Force Base, was to sit out there, count the airplanes coming in, relay the tail number, and tell them who's ambulatory and who's not and how many people. They'd tell me which hospitals to go to. And I just go down the line with the ambulance and say, you go to Methodist, you go to Baptist, I need you over at the trauma center, you do this and that, and just scatter them until the bus pulled up with, you know, the 100-person bus, and I went, okay, that's a new one. But, you know, this one was interesting. Like I've told Jeremy in the past that for me, I'm learning propagation. You know, San Antonio, Austin, Texas, you know, I could talk to Corpus Christi 200 miles away on 50 watts. You know, I could talk to Austin, Texas, 60 miles away from San Antonio, my QTH on, you know, 10 watts. And it's flat ground. You know, my land up in Medina County was sitting up on a hill. So 2 watts down to San Antonio, 25 miles away, easy peasy. Here, this one was interesting because I had to raise an antenna 12 feet in the air so I could get in contact with you again. So it was interesting and it was fun. So thanks for letting me participate in that one. I'll be over at the one coming up, the next one.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. That's great.
I have a question.
Sure.
Several people have said, and I agree, that these public service events are a great way to get new people involved in the hobby because while we're providing the public service, we're very visible and people ask questions. But you know, I have a question about how many people do we have in the club that are what would be considered youth operators? Because I think that is really critical, is having our own generation, next generation, and getting youth involved and getting them to think that not only it's good for you, like eat your broccoli, but that it is something fun for them. It should be as much fun for them as it is for us. So and youth like to hang around with other youth. We're all young, but people who are, in their 20s or teens don't agree with us on that. So, do we know who in the membership is, or if any is, in the under 30 or under 25 crowd?
There's a few. Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but Kai is one of our younger members.
Oh, yeah. The thing is that I'm not in around the area anymore. No, I'm in Colorado, so I can't really be there.
Oh, well, Colorado, I think, is nice, but yeah, I mean, do we have a few, Jeremy? I mean, I think trying to get. I mean, I know obviously there's my son KC3NTC, and I volunteer him. I love that expression that I learned from you. But it would be it's a whole lot more fun for him, I think, if there are other younger people out there, or at least the prospect of them. So do we know if there is a pool of young people that we can try and rope into doing some of these public service events?
How about if we go to the Boy Scouts? Talk with the Boy Scouts about it and see what they have. I used to teach Boy Scout radio classes down there in a town called Seguin, Texas. And we provided them with at least one go kit. And we went through the entire technician course with them and got them up and running. And in turn, they were able to help us for part of their community service to work some of these events for us. Like I think I roped in about 4 of them during the Final Four years down in San Antonio. We're working Sweet 16 and the NCAA Final Fours. And they did good work. I mean, it was a lot of mic fright to start with, but after we got them talking, we couldn't hush them up.
That's good to know, because we do a radio merit badge class every year as part of field day. It's been on hold the last 2 years because of COVID, but we're hoping to get that going again next year.
Do any of those Boy Scouts ever come back and do anything else with us after they get their badge?
Most of them don't. I mean, I know one of the parents ended up getting licensed, and I think his son got licensed as well, but I don't think he really became active after that. So sometimes that's the problem is, people will get licensed, but do they remain radioactive afterward?
Right.
WQ3Z.
Yeah, go ahead, Ned.
Well, I think, and I will admit, I'm as guilty as this as any, but our downfall there has probably been what we need to be doing is, have the merit badge class. I guess it's the 3rd or 4th Saturday of June. We should then have a flyer inviting all those kids and their parents to the next 3 meetings with interesting topics that they would, have an interest in. To be honest with you, if I can be blunt, QSL card counting is not going to hook them in. There ought to be some, we ought to be planning our topics that, would interest them and have them come out and, have, when they get their call sign, we should ask them to call a particular person and, report in their call sign. And then you real, oh, great, come on out. You don't have a radio? I'll loan you a radio so you can check in tonight's net. That's just a thought that, as I say, we ought to be exploiting. Back to net control, WQ3.
Net control.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Well, along the same lines, when is the course actually offered? Like, is it offered like within FCC processing time before the public service event season starts, so that they would have time to finish the course, take their exam, get their license back from the FCC, and be ready to go when we can have them join us in public service events, so that they can actually do something?
Well, the merit badge is done in late June as part of field day, but I'm actually thinking of maybe reimagining it a little bit. Instead of doing everything in one day, maybe have a preliminary session, maybe a week or so ahead of time, where we could do a lot of the lecture material. And that way, when they come in on field day, it can be more about the operating. But that might be a way of rethinking it.
But do we want to maybe do it even a little bit earlier, so that when public service season starts up, they've already got their ticket and they can participate? Like when we're doing the Radnor Memorial Day Parade, assuming their unit's not in the parade, or
that would require
the other events.
That would require doing it in the winter or the early spring. And then the operating becomes an issue because we have it linked to field day. But we could
Let's be careful about this. The thing we do at field day is specifically designed so that the scouts can get their merit badge in one day. Now, the material, half of the material that they cover to get their merit badge is about half of what you need to get your technician's license. So, but it's exactly what you need to get your merit badge. So, and as it is, it takes what, 6 hours or something, Jeremy, for the,
about 4. We get the 4, maybe 5.
all right, say 5 hours, because you have to include the time on the radio. That's part of the merit badge. For them to actually get on the radio and, or at least observe hams on the radio, that's a requirement for the merit badge. So if we cut out any of the merit badge requirements, then they've spent the whole day with us, but they haven't gotten their merit badge. So you got to be very careful about how we mix these events and how we tailor them, because we may lose the merit badge aspect, which is the draw for the scouts, because they want to get merit badges. That's a big incentive for scouts. So we just have to be very careful about tailoring the program too much. As I recall, there's nothing in the course material that's not in the merit badge requirements. So there's not a lot of stuff we can cut out.
But that being said, like, even assuming you get these people their licenses, right? The real question, and I think somebody else mentioned it, is how do you get them, once they've got their ticket, how do you get them to stay active and stay with us? And I think that the real key there, I mean, I don't know that I have the answer to that, but I think I know what the right question is. And the right question is, when we're doing these public service events, which I think are probably going to be the most fun for young people using radio. It may then get them hooked up into other stuff, but I don't know that sitting and watching people like call CQ endlessly is really gonna rope in a teenager now that they have smartphones and WhatsApp and all these kind of messaging apps. But the real fun is being out and being of value and service to your community in a parade or a race or some situation like that. So I think, how do we leverage the young people we already have so that they see that they're not the only one out there with a bunch of, people who are the age of their parents and grandparents? How do they get their peers? How do we get those members we already have, who already have their tickets, to be critical mass so that the people who are out there will have even more fun and want to sign up for the next one?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Just anecdotally, though, I find that the participation in the field day by the scouts is not just a matter of watching people endlessly call CQ. We have a get on the air radio dedicated for that kind of application. And the scouts that come back that have actually made a contact, which is most of them, are really excited about it. Now, in terms of supporting these events in the field, as long as they're paired up with a ham, they don't necessarily have to have their license on the day of the event. Okay, as long as they can be supervised by a ham operator. Now, here's where the fun comes. Every time you do that and you have someone under the age of 18, you have a whole bunch of other rules that come into effect. So you have to have, whether they have licensed or not is irrelevant. You have all of the other youth protection rules that come into play. All of the hams that do this have have to go through youth protection services. There are guidelines as to how you can conduct those activities. Basically, if you just follow the scout rules, there's no one-on-one, okay? Because that's considered dangerous. And from our perspective, from the club's perspective, I would not support any activity that didn't have no one-on-one rule. So
Yeah.
I believe we could get the kids involved early, but we have to go into this with our eyes open and understand that besides just the technical aspects of the getting the kids involved, there's also the logistics that go into setting kind of.
Getting involved with minors in public service does introduce a lot of complications.
So are you saying, and I think this is a really good point, and I just want to pull the thread a little bit. And are you saying, so for example, my son, he's got his ticket. He's 15.
But would he be with you at an event?
Well, but I mean, the only time I brought him was for the Memorial Day parade. It doesn't do any good for the event if he's paired with me. It does good for the event if he is I drove him there, but it sort of defeats the purpose if he's sitting with me, because that's using two hams in one spot when we're already short-staffed, and plus which, come on, when you were 15, did you want to hang around with your dad all day?
My point about hanging out with a ham was for the case where the individual is not licensed. If your son's already licensed, he's your son, you can do what you want with them. You can go one-on-one with them, and you can let him stand out at a position by himself. That's your call as a parent.
Right, but there's a different issue that you raise. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Relationship, you have to be very careful about the rules for youth protection and how the club's going to protect itself.
Right, and that's the thread I want to pull on, because you're right. I can say you go at this position and you do whatever, the public service director tells you to do. But from the club's point of view, I don't think any of us went and got background checks.
Actually, all of us who participated there were enough of us who were participating in the Scout program have gone through youth protection checks.
Right, but we're not talking about a Scout program here. We're talking about like the French Creek Triathlon or the MS 150 or any ordinary public service event.
It's the same. The difference is for the Scouts, you have to take the Scout test in addition to all the other state laws that say how adults can interact with children.
Right. So I'm not going to hijack the meeting on this. Let's talk about this at another time.
Well, we can't talk over each other.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say what you want to say.
No, I'm going to say this is getting far off of the field, so I'm gonna back off of this, and we'll talk about this offline. You and I do want to talk to you about it, but I don't want to hijack the meeting over it.
Yeah.
So that's my bad. That's my bad.
Can I just say one thing to your original question, Herb? I think we only have one member under 18, and that's so, we don't have enough young members that they could interact with each other, which is not good. We need to recruit more. And maybe part of the recruiting is to go to Scout troops and give presentations. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, well, I think Herb has the key. I think what Herb's situation is the key. Herb is a ham. His son is a ham. Okay. And the way I believe the way you were deployed at the parade, Radnor parade, was your son was in one location and you were about maybe a block away. So you had somewhat of some visibility, to your son, but you were distant enough that, you needed to talk over the radio, otherwise you wouldn't be heard. And I kind of think that's the key, maybe. So if we approach the the scout thing, what we need to do maybe is get not only the scout, but like at least one of their parents, involved enough to get a tech license, and go with. You need to somehow convince the parent of the scout that they need to get a tech license so that they can supervise their radio use or whatever. I don't know how we would do it, but if that were the case, then there would be no child issues with as long as the parent came along. Wouldn't that be correct?
WQ3Z.
Go ahead, Ned.
I was instrumental in firing this conversation off of this tangent, and I'm going to suggest to Jeremy that we add to the agenda at the beginning of every meeting ideas and discussions, even if it's just 5 minutes, on getting more people involved. And I do that as you're returning at-large board member. It's like, Jeremy, can we add this to the agenda of things we talk about? Because, as I said, we've gotten off the primary topic of public service, and I do have another point I'd like to make whenever we get back on the point.
Okay. Certainly could be a topic for discussion on nets as well.
Yeah.
In terms of,
okay. Can I bring up something else about public service?
Yeah.
Okay. At the risk of sounding like I'm making a blatant pitch for net control, having been involved in a lot of field events and whatnot, if you've never been a net control station, you should, I strongly recommend, if you're going to do any kind of field event, you get experience, even if it's 5 or 6 or 7 times. You don't have to do it, four nights a month for the rest of your life. Like I was, at one point I was doing it like twice a week for 10 years. But get experience being a net control station, because then when you're out at an event, you have a better handle of what the heck is going on in there. So, we ought to be, more actively encouraging people to be net controlled, just to get the kind of practice. Back to net control, WQ3Z.
Hey, Jeremy, I've got a question for the group.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
I keep bringing up San Antonio because that's all I know. And I'm learning a lot here. Back in 2001, I think it was 2001, may have been 2004 when Ivan came through. So it was either 2001 Allison or Ivan, I don't remember which. We had put amateur radio gear in all 33 hospitals in San Antonio. Bexar County, spelled B-E-X-A-R, go figure, it's Spanish, had provided us funding so we could put ICOM dual bands and antenna equipment. So we went through every single hospital and we set up a room for them, got them up and running. Part of that in return, what we ended up doing was producing and providing what we called down there one-day crash courses. We provided a Gordon West book, not a big fan, but it worked. And we spent one day going through using PowerPoints or whatever we could, just to go through test questions, answer questions, reiterate important aspects of each question, how to identify right answers, things like that. And then at the end of the day, we issued the exam. The exam they had to pay for, but the rest of it we did for them. And we found out we had such an interest in this that we had families showing up at the next several courses. these first few courses were really meant for hospital personnel. And my wife's one of them. She got her license in 03. But we got interest in it, and people kept calling us up and sending us emails saying, when's your next course? When are you going to do this? We ended up at that time with moms and or dads or both and their families. I had one family of 3 that showed up, a 10-year-old boy that got like 95 or something on his test. I kept telling him, look, FCC looks at it as P or an F. They don't care. There you go. The girl got 100 and the mom got 100. The little girl, I asked her, how did you learn this? She said, oh, I just memorized the correct answers. That's 350 question test bank. We know that. I memorized the correct answer. She said, now you guys need to teach me. So we spent, I think the next 3 weeks after that holding mini courses. And then by field day, she was ready to get on the air. I just pointed her to my GOTA station and said, have at it. There you go. Just do what you need to do. I'll be standing here waiting. And that's kind of how we got them interested down there. And we got them into those events like the ride to the rivers, the bike to the beach, and the marathons and things. I know when I came up here and was working as a medic for a while, I had to go get certification from Child Protective Services, and I have to get that renewed like every 2 years. You know, it was free when I was a volunteer, and now I got to pay for it. So there's stuff like that up here I'm still trying to learn. But anyway, back to Ned.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Actually, I was having a conversation with somebody over at the ARRL, and he suggested something like that, essentially a licensing program, and that could become a way to attract more members as well. So it might be something to think about maybe for next year.
Yeah, just something for the future, just to kind of take a look at it and see if it may or may not work. You know, basically you got to put feelers out and see who might be interested.
Yeah.
Just go from there. And part of that would be talking to the Boy Scouts or talking to the scouting parents on the girls' side, the boys' side, wherever it's at.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, of the guys in the club who do the radio merit badge course, how many of them are also the club's volunteer examiners? Could we have a volunteer exam session at the end of the class?
That would be a little bit much for one day, especially for kids. That would be a lot. Because the merit badge is about half the technician license. It doesn't go into any of the legal stuff and what frequencies you're allowed to use. And the technician test, I know, has some questions about digital modes. I mean, we don't get into any of that. Mm-hmm. So that would be a little too much. I think we'd be setting them up for defeat, giving them like 2 or 3 hours of instruction, and then, oh, here's the test.
Yeah, but I do have an interesting observation that I dragged my non-licensed XYL out to the MS-150 last weekend. Now she wants to get her license.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I suspect being around you, she might have a leg up on taking the test.
Yeah, that
she's
might
an
just
accountant,
work,
not
though.
an engineer.
That might just work, though, if we did the field day, did the merit badge, and then schedule the following weekend with the rest of the technician class. Maybe that would work. Just a thought.
As long as we're not running into the Ham Fest, because then that's usually like 2 to 3 weeks after field day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you do it, well, then they could either go to the Hamfest to take their exam, or they get their exam early, and they might be licensed by the time the Hamfest happens, so they can go buy some stuff.
There you go.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, even a couple of weeks early, you could do a quick licensing course, because if they read the book, they're going to get the license. If they don't read the book, and you can tell when they take the test, and you're looking at the answer sheets, and you didn't read. But even a couple weeks, 3 weeks before, then they get their license. They'll go to field day, and they'll work on their badge on field day. And then when they get done with their badge, if they want to get on the air and do the air stuff, and I haven't done Boy Scouts in probably 8 years, so I'm not sure what the scouting program does anymore. But a few weeks prior, hold a course, 1-day course, and then they get their license. They'll get it in the mail. They'll get it on the internet, and then they can go and work on their badge and just party on.
I believe it's, if those scouts have gotten their merit badge through our program, we could get them proficient enough to pass the technician's test if they had a second session that was tailored for people who had been through the merit badge course. Because as Jeremy said, the half that we don't cover in the merit badge course are a lot of the rules and regulations, frequencies, digital stuff, and that kind of, which we could do in one session because we know what we didn't cover the last time. You could probably do it in a couple hours.
So maybe to do that like the following Saturday might be a way to do it. Unless the following Saturday is the 4th of July, which is could turn out to be that.
It's good.
And I have a feeling it would be a small fraction, but if we have, say, 20 people doing the merit badge, and then maybe we get 4 that want to do their license from there.
You'd be lucky to get 4, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we had 20 kids show up at Dick's licensing test, I think he wouldn't know what to do. So.
Well, I kind of gauged the kids that came. There were a lot of the 20 that we had were just there because they were following the herd.
Yeah, a lot of them were not as motivated, but some certainly were.
Some certainly were, right?
Yeah.
And we could even put some incentives in there if you want to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever gets the highest score gets a free radio.
They'll all get 35 right. Then
not an FT2, but maybe a Bofang.
Do they have to get the Chinese merit badge to learn how to use it?
Chinese English translation merit badge. Is there one for that?
Not yet.
Chinglish, the Chinglish merit badge.
All right, so we're having a great discussion here, but we're coming up on 9, so actually a little after 9. So this is a great presentation by Bob. I thought there were a lot of really good ideas for the upcoming year.
Stimulated a lot of side discussion, I'll say that.
Yeah. So we do have 2 more public service events. Is that right? 2 more? 3 more.
3. Yeah, Fall Harvest. Yeah, 3 more.
So does anyone have anything else for the good of the organization?
Move to adjourn.
All right, so moved. We'll adjourn this meeting. So we'll convene again next Thursday, which will be the meeting to talk about the PA-QSO party. So Herb, how long do you think that would run?
Oh, I don't think it should run as long as this one.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you use Neumann's recommendation, which is the maximum length of a productive meeting is 1 microcentury.
Is 1 micro?
Century.
Microcentury.
Microcentury.
About 55 minutes.
For longest per fortnight.
It's only 55 minutes.
All right.
I don't think it'll be even that long, but yeah. By the way, Brian, I sent you an offline email, so you can check that.
Well, if it's not online, how am I going to get it?
All right. So we'll declare the